ugly mug out of the frame there. Okay. I gotta make sure we're actually streaming to where we're supposed to be. We're really only on YouTube and Twitch right now, so yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, cool. So we got both of us in here. And of course I'm not prepared. All right, here it is. Hillary Scholten dodges conservative media and doesn't answer questions about her beliefs. She's not the only Democrat that dodges questions from the media. And we also have the audio from Hillary's flight because it was me she fled from. Grand Haven Area Public Schools encourages students to be anti-racist activists. What is the difference between not being racist and being anti-racist? We'll discuss that. The petition of gibberish is approved to go to the ballot, and there is a concerted effort from conservatives to inform voters. If you want to get involved, I highly recommend you get involved. I will tell you a little bit more about this. We're going to start our show off with this, so you will have the information. And finally, we have audio from Wood TV8 and the Grand Haven Public Library, Loutit Library. And they say that they're totally aware of the pornographic scenes. At least Loutit Library does. Wood TV8 has a little bit different of a story and a bit different of approach to how they gather information. So we will discuss all of that. I am Anon Don.
And I'm Jim.
And this is the Holmes Politicast. All right. It has been a little while since we've heard from Jim, so we're happy to have him back on the show. We are going to start out today with the concerted effort to get rid of this petition, to vote it down. So there is a group, and they have purchased voter information legally, and they are going to purple voters, people that vote Democrat sometimes, Republican sometimes.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And they're just trying to convince them to vote no on this awful amendment to our Constitution. So I'm not sure if you've read it, Jim.
I've not read the amendment. I'm familiar with the amendment. I've not read it.
Okay.
The verbiage.
It is. I read it on the show a couple weeks ago, and
Okay.
it is just a bunch of gibberish. It's interesting. It's missing a bunch of spaces in between words, and you would think if this was a Republican petition,
yeah,
and it had one space missing in between a word, shot down immediately. Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's just weird. You'd think these people would be professionals.
Yeah, but they're trying to rush it through, I think. But it's also got language that may actually make statutory rape not illegal. Yeah, Fred Zolik had that take on Twitter. He's a Michigan political analyst. So
interesting. So when you say, is this the one about the gibberish?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this one of those where it's hard to understand, so you might end up voting for something you're opposed to, or is it just? I mean, is it like that kind of gibberish where you can't really understand what it's trying to say, or is it just ridiculous?
It's just ridiculous.
Oh, okay,
You can understand it as long as you put spaces in between the words.
They
like literally, they just have long strings of words wording spaces, so you can make sense of it.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes they try to trick you.
Yeah.
By wording it in a way that you kind of think you're voting for something and you're voting against it, or vice versa.
Yep.
And then gotcha. You know. But okay, so this one that just sounds ridiculous. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yep. So I'll be door knocking actually here in Ottawa County.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say when because. I don't think I have to, but if you want to get involved in it, if you want to go door knocking with a list of people that are actually convincible, they're not just staunch Democrats, they're not just staunch Republicans. we're not trying to convince people that are set in their ways, and we're not trying to convince people that are already on our side. So we've got a list of purple voters. You can get a hold of Caroline at protectlifemichigan.org. I will put that in the comments of all the shows. So YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever it's posted, that link will be put up there. So,
let me just say, from what I understand, yeah, I think you're right that they're trying to push it through real fast because they want it on the ballot in November.
yes,
And it got not thrown out, but it was not accepted, allegedly by a bunch of Republicans. That's what I heard in the media. And then I guess the Supreme Court, I assume the Michigan Supreme Court, ruled that it has to be on the ballot.
that is exactly right.
So I think you're right. They're just trying to rush this thing through real quick so it'll be on the ballot while there's still a lot of passion, because there's a lot of liberals who are furious over Roe v. Wade being overturned. So let's take advantage of this. If we wait too long, they might just be like, no big deal.
Yeah.
So let's get it on there right now so that maybe people will still be mad and ready to, so yeah, I agree. That's probably why it's poorly written and all that, but.
Yep. And what's interesting is that the judge is or the Supreme Court is overruling the state canvassers, who I think I'm not sure that that's quite how our government is set up. I think the board of canvassers has the decision on that. But the Supreme Court, I mean, they got involved, and now we're gonna have to do something about the Supreme Court too, because
the courts, both national and state, the Supreme Courts have just for years gone crazy, overstepping their bounds, and so I don't see how they can. That's their job, the board of canvassers.
Yep.
I don't know how the Supreme Court could step in and say, we're going to override a decision, that's your decision to make, and say we don't like your decision, we're going to overrule it. I don't know. I just don't understand it, and it seems like overstepping.
Yep, and it's really interesting to me that I can't find the text of this thing anywhere. I used to be able to. When I read it on the show, I had it up on
okay. Yeah.
So I mean, I could go back to my own show and find it quite easily, but now when I search it online, it's just vanished, just poof, like a fart in the wind.
Yeah. So
really crazy stuff. So I'm talking to people in Ottawa County. I know I've got Ottawa County listeners here. If you want to get involved, we are. This is a real effort with real possibility for change, especially here in Ottawa County. I know we're a really red county, but people still need to be convinced. So,
well, there still are a lot of independents and some Democrats.
Absolutely.
Even though it's a very conservative area.
Yeah, I know Holland is much more Democrat oriented. Yeah. Grand Haven is a little bit more on the Democrat side. So, that's
recently, which is odd. When I was a kid, Grand Haven was solidly conservative. Like it would, I think there was like the Coast Guard parade. They had the Republican, West Michigan Republican Party or something, and there's this huge float, and then they had a Democratic one, and there was like 5 people.
Yep. Yep.
And you might have heard one person in the audience, clap as they went by. And I remember just thinking, I'd feel bad if I was a Democrat in this area. I'd be sort of moralized.
Yep.
Like nobody, now there's like they're recognizing gay marriage, and I don't know, the city council Pride Week or Pride Month or something, they did a big thing, and it's like, what? This is Grand Haven?
This is Grand Haven.
Like we were so conservative, and now it's
Yep. And they just voted to keep their quite liberal board. What is that? Board of Commissioner. Commissioner.
Yeah.
They just voted to keep him.
And as we'll be talking about now, even the library has pornography, gay pornography. I mean, that would have been unheard of when I was a kid. I mean, it never would have got that far.
Yeah.
But if some chance it snuck in, there would have been such an outrage. There probably would have been a book burning segment right in the.
So speaking of that, we actually have audio. I talked to the director of the Grand Haven Public Library, Loutit Library.
Wow.
A man named James Martin. he has got, you know what? We'll just hear from him. It's interesting. I think you'll find this clip quite intriguing. So here it is.
Right.
This is.
Hi, this is John Martin returning your call from the Loutit District Library.
Hi, John. I just had yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead. It looked like you were trying to call Chelsea, but Chelsea's not here today, so
Yes.
I thought I'd call you back.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just I had a few questions about the books that are being promoted there at Grand Haven Public Library, specifically a couple of the books on the top 10 banned list.
Okay.
So you have that you have that display out, and you have the book Genderqueer promoted very prominently right out front. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we own the book, but it's currently checked out, so we
Yes.
don't have it on. We don't have it on display. How about that?
So okay, let me clarify. You have a poster board, right? Little wood line poster board that says top 10 most challenged books of 2020.
Oh, that could be, yeah.
Yeah, and so Genderqueer is on there.
Okay.
Have you read that book?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay. Are you aware that there are illustrated drawings depicting acts of oral sex?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that that's between like a minor and an adult?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, what would you how did that come about to be on your list of promoted books?
Well, it's not necessarily a list of promoted books. It's a list of the top 10 books that were challenged in 2021 or maybe 2022. I'm not sure.
21. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, do you think that's a good thing to have in the public library that Grand Haven Township is funding?
Well, the book itself, was very well received, very well reviewed, and it's the story of this kid's life. And it also happens to be one of the most challenged books, which is why it's on that particular list.
Okay. Do you allow children to check out that book?
So we can stop it there. We have an admission that he knows that it's got pornographic content. He knows that it's content between an adult and a minor. And he goes on to say that they do, in fact, allow children to take out that book. They've, of course, got self-checkouts. He says, oh, but it's in the adult section. So that clip will be up. I'll post that later on, just so you can hear the full thing. There's a few minutes or few seconds of silence there where I just silenced out, me giving out my personal, my name and a couple other things. So, but yeah, that admission is there. The library doubles down. They say that's good to have in their library. Jim looks like he has something he wants to say about that.
I don't have the words really, but yeah, there's a lot I want to say. I mean, as a general rule, I don't like banning books and things like that, but I don't know. In this case, it just isn't right, and I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know what the drawings are for. I mean, it's bad enough if you had it described, but why exactly are there drawings of it?
Well, this book is actually.
Oh, it's not a.
It's like a comic book.
Oh, oh my goodness.
Yeah, marketed to adults.
Okay, this is just really weird then.
Yeah, like it starts off like with pictures of this girl at at her cabin with her family, and like it's all pictures and it's all like a comic book. So
oh, it's even more weird then.
Yeah,
it's even more disturbing.
Yeah, and that's
I thought it was just a biography with some illustrations in it. I didn't realize it was a book that is just a cartoon,
Yeah.
basically.
And the act of sex between her and her adult cousin is not the most shocking thing in there. There are other things. A lot of parents have read the book. They've seen it in school libraries, which just that's just nope.
That is, I mean, there might be some debate about a regular library, but a school library, there's no debate.
Yeah.
That is absolutely, it's just, okay, it's just totally inappropriate.
Yep.
And
So a lot of people are saying, this is the common defense, that it's none of your concern. They are books that it's a public library, so it should have books that cater to everybody. It should have books that represent everybody. Just kind of off the cuff, I mean, what are your thoughts on that argument?
Well, I mean, I'm not I guess I'm not opposed to them having, like, if there's a person who has a biography, like I'm trying to think of who's Elton John, he's a famous gay man. If you have a book about his life and mentions that he fell in love with some guy, I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's his life story. You can't make up facts. That's a little different than, like we're talking about.
Okay, well, let's make it a little bit more the same. So the Kite Runner begins with a scene of a young boy being raped, and it's not, no pictures, nothing. Obviously, that's in the library as well. So that's a little bit closer of a comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm also. This is kind of a large topic because I'm also opposed to that. The style now of the shock, like instead of just saying. I mean, I don't even know why you would need to talk about your first sexual experience, but now it's always got to be like a shock value, like very graphic and things instead of. I don't know how. I mean, again, I don't really know why you would put that in a book about your life, but I mean, I just think it's a little different when that's what this. I mean, this isn't a celebrity. This isn't somebody that. Again, not that I would approve of it, but I mean, if it was the life story of somebody who's very famous and that's a part of their life, that might be a little different. But my question would be, I guess, do they have a pornographic section in the library? I didn't realize they did.
They do not. They don't carry Playboy.
Right. So if they say that, well, we want to represent everybody in all kinds of different books, well, they don't do that. They don't have. I mean, he said it in the adult section, which immediately popped into my head, like when I used to go to the video stores back in the old days, and they have the adult section, which would be like X-rated and pornographic movies in the back room, and that popped into my head first. Like, okay, to have it in the adult section, it's like the smoking section in a restaurant. There's no barrier. There's no, I mean, the quote-unquote adult section isn't in some private area that you have to be 21 or over to access. It's just the regular section. They're calling it the adult section, but it's just the regular library, and then they have this children's section, over there that
with all like the really little kids books.
Right, yeah. So I mean, but this is the library. It's not an adult section. It's just the library, and then they have a little section for little kids. So the way he worded it kind of made it sound like, well, this is, it's in a different section. It's the adult section. It's much more, we're much more attuned to what they're doing. And, it's got a lot of, kids just aren't wandering around picking up books. But that is exactly what it is. It's just out there. And like you said, they want to represent all ideas, but we don't have, pornography, just outright pornography in there. But
well, now we do.
Well, yeah.
Now
I mean, generally, you don't have that.
Yeah.
And so now they're acting as if, well, this is just natural. We want to have every kind of expression, but they would not allow you if you had a pornographic, like you said, a pornographic magazine and said, I want to put this on the shelf. They're like, well, this is not appropriate. They would,
I would question. I would love to see somebody bring in like a stack of pornos and just be like, I want these on the shelf, and see what they say. Like, what arguments can they make at this point to not put them on the shelf?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to see that. That's decadent. That's
right. Yeah.
That's I don't want to see people doing that. But I would like to see the library staff struggling with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. A lot of thoughts are going through my head here, but
I'm sure.
I like what you're saying there. I don't. This is a little different. I said earlier I don't like banning books and things like that. I'm wrong about that. I mean, I think that if a publisher wants to publish a book, they have every right to. But that was more what I was talking about, is like the cancel culture, telling publishers what they can and cannot publish. But it's totally different in a library, what they accept. This isn't like the Library of Congress, where they have a copy of every book that's ever published. They pick and choose what books they want in their library.
Yeah.
They have every right to do that, and say, and just let the community guide it. If they go too far in the extreme, then people will react, and they would pull that out. If they have like a pro-Hitler book, that idolizes Hitler and talks about how great he was to kill the Jews, they have every right to say, I don't think we want to put that book in our library.
Yeah.
So
you touched on something that's kind of important, like the community's funding these places.
Right. Yeah.
And now there's been quite a lot of people that are unhappy with this book being in the library, and they don't care. It's not community led. It's leftist led.
Yeah, they're acting very dictatorial.
Yeah.
Because this is, libraries are a very, in the truest sense, like a socialist, it's like a socialist institution.
Yeah.
The whole community pays money so there'll be these books available, for them and their neighbors to be able to check out for free. Instead of having to go out and buy books, you can go to the library and check them out. It's one of the few kind of socialist institutions which aren't all evil.
Yeah.
Because it just, everybody pitches in, pays money, and we get books that either educate you, entertain you, inform you, whatever.
Indoctrinate you now.
But now, they're forgetting that it's a community funded. It's like, well, we're going to tell you what books we want you to have. And that's, and like you were saying, that it should be the community deciding. I mean, in the larger sense, obviously they have a committee there that decides. But if the community looks at that and says, we don't like this, we don't want this in our library, it should be pulled. It's not, there is no constitutional right to have these books displayed.
Absolutely.
So if we don't like something, if there's any kind of book, even if it's a book about AOC or something, a biography, and we're just like, we don't want that in our town, well, pull it out of the town. It's not, it's a community funded library. We have the books that we want to have in our library.
And the problem is that, like I said, there's no community input.
Right.
And they don't
want it.
Yeah, they don't want it.
That's what's aggravating. It'd be different if they listen to the community.
But then, also the community loses out. Because what do? You can pull your funding from the library, which actually Jamestown did. Jamestown defunded the Patmos Library.
Did they really?
Yeah. And now that library is totally funded and run by leftists.
Well, that's what, not the leftist part, not that part, but the part before that, that's what we need to start doing again, is taking control.
Yeah.
And saying, if you're not going to listen to the community, then you're going to have to run your own library. You pay for it, you run it.
Well, the problem is that we've dumped in a ton of money to it already. They owe us books.
Well, yeah.
We should be able to take all the books that we want from that library, because we have funded that library.
Yeah.
And I think that we're giving too much to the leftists if we do that. So defunding, defunding works with private institutions. Like if Rock and Road, employs a guy that's going to assault, a reporter and start swearing at him and yelling at him, then we can stop going to Rock and Road.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not something that the community has given money to, and that goes with my actually my story about Hillary Scholten.
Good.
So,
Okay, let's transition to
Let's
that then.
transition into that. I know so there was actually one other just brief thing that I wanted to bring up. Somebody sent me this. So the library in Petoskey is also going through the same thing. The leftists are taking over the library. The librarian's husband was ejected from the meeting. They're bringing in books targeted to young adults, like The Hate You Give, about anti-police and having crude language, and Let's Talk About It, again with graphic sexual content. So
Yeah.
it's all over Michigan. We're not getting away from this fight. This is a fight that continues, and Democrats won't talk to you. Democrats do not want to answer for what they are doing. So I went to a business owners meeting with Hillary Scholten down at 707 Washington Avenue, Grand Haven, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because they're the ones that hosted it, and they're also the ones that were very, very welcoming when they thought I was there to support Hillary Scholten, and got very, very hostile when they found out I was a Republican, when I was media. So
And remind me again, Hillary Scholten's.
she's running against John Gibbs. So
she's the
for
Democrat running for House.
U.S. House.
Or U.S. House, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I was there just sitting there, minding my own business, recording. I took a really bad recording of them talking. Actually, it might be a little bit better with my new speaker, but it's just a lot of fluff. I think the part I'm going to play for you is me trying to ask Hillary a question before being ejected from the premises. Before this, actually, so I bring up the Rock and Road employee because Tim Meyer of the Holland Rock and Road was there, and he actually admitted to me that Republicans were calling him up and saying that they need Democrats to vote for them in the primaries because they're going to get kicked out of the Board of Commissioners. So all these Republicans saying they weren't asking Democrats to vote in the primaries, they're full of poo. I have a Democrat that came over to me. Obviously, he started yelling at me and cussing at me and saying all kinds of rude things. And I ended that conversation pretty quick because I was like, I'm not here to get in a fight.
Right.
But, so Rock and Road, both the Grand Haven and the Holland branches sent representatives to that. So these are the businesses funding our Democrat candidates that will not talk to the media. So I just got a real quick clip here of me talking to Hillary Scholten, or trying to talk to Hillary Scholten. She was sidling away from me the entire time as soon as she found out I was Republican.
Good, how are you?
So we'll skip to where I'm trying to talk to.
So are you trying to avoid the media, ma'am? I got a question for her, and then I'll take off. Okay? Thank you. Excuse me, Miss Scholten. I've got a question for you.
Sorry, I'm talking to
Yeah. So your campaign is not really interested in having anybody here. So do you? So.
She actually accuses me of
So,
Gibbs campaign.
There was a recent stabbing in Canada, mass stabbing. Do you support disarming?
It's indicative of the other side that we're up against, asking questions about people's beliefs. So I figured she wasn't going to talk
Are you trying
to
to
me.
avoid the media, ma'am? Okay. Hillary Scholten was avoiding the media.
So that's the relevant clip there. Just refuses to talk, refuses to even acknowledge, the existence of anybody that has a serious question for her, and that's quite indicative of most Democrats. I haven't seen a Democrat that will be willing to talk to me. I don't think I'm that rude of a dude. I mean, I was sitting there waiting for her to finish her conversation for like
Yeah, you didn't sound
10
rude
minutes.
at all.
No, I didn't think so. But it's really indicative, and this is probably one of the reasons why John Gibbs didn't want to debate her, is because the media is on her side. She won't talk to opposition media. Why should he have to? So I don't know. I support the decision to not debate in bad faith or with people that have bad intentions.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We totally skipped over Wood TV8. Telling
Oh,
me.
what was that? What was that about?
Okay, so I called and asked about how their reporter prepared for her coverage of the Loutit Library thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear what they have to say.
So, first of all, I was wondering, did your writer, Whitney Burney, did she read any of the books that were on the top 10 most challenged books of 2021?
She didn't.
I don't know if she did. That was not part of her preparation for the story, no.
Oh, so she doesn't know the content of any of the books?
She went and talked with the library that had this display out about some of these banned books.
Okay. So, is it, I mean, the article would seem to put books like Genderqueer next to books like A Light in the Attic and kind of makes them almost the same, puts them in kind of the same category. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but the book Genderqueer is a illustrated comic type book, and it actually it depicts sexual acts between a minor and an adult. There was nothing about that in the article. There's other problematic things with books like Not All Boys Are Blue. They describe in vivid detail sexual acts. So does Wood TV8 generally have a policy of leaving out information like that?
Well, I mean, we did not
She's like, how do I answer that?
intentionally leave out any information about, the details of these books. What we did was report on an exhibit that is on display at a library within our coverage area.
Okay.
So, yeah, they don't research the books. They don't really. They say they're not showing one way or the other, but obviously by leaving information out, they are.
Mm-hmm.
It seems they are content to watch the leftism fly in. So, shameless plug for this show. We're trying to expose those things, trying to be objective in our media coverage of them and show you all the facts. So, subscribe to the YouTube, follow me on Twitter, follow Jim on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to get that information to you. So, I think that about covers the Wood TV8 thing. Let's move over to Grand Haven Area Public Schools because they've got a lot of stuff going on, getting a lot of things right.
Oh yeah, the anti-racism versus just regular racism.
Yes.
Or not non-racist, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yes. So, you want to start this one? You can read the first couple paragraphs here.
Yeah. Is it just all colors? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Helps if I get the whole thing
Yeah.
on there.
During the 2020-21 school year, the high school staff and all members of the Calling All Colors, or CAC group, received a copy of the book How to Be an Anti-Racist by Tiffany Jewell. The Calling All Colors group created a 4-part lesson based on this book, which was used to teach critical race theory to the high school students and staff during academy class. Students were encouraged to participate in the journaling activities and then discussion topics. All CRT topics were hit during these lessons: dominant culture, white, male, cisgender, Christian, neurotypical, systemic racism, equity, white people can't experience racism, etc. Students were taught to be anti-racist activists and made to feel guilty about their physical characteristics. During the first week, students had to define their identity. They learned that the dominant culture is white, middle class, Christian, cisgender, male, neurotypical, and educated. Well, we don't want anyone educated.
That is not a goal we have.
They were told to define their identity with words such as sister, Korean, short, straight black hair, and adopted. Well, none of those would apply to me. How am I supposed to do my identity as?
You can identify as whatever you want, man.
Yeah, okay.
All right. During week 2, students learned about the social identities such as race, class, religion, ability, and gender. They learned that the more social identities they have, that match the dominant culture, the more power they hold. Yeah, we see that
Oh,
with
wow.
our library situation,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah. So during week 3, they focused on race. They learned that race is not based on science.
Oh.
What?
Oh, wow.
Okay. They were actually told that the definition of race is continually changing.
Oh.
And they were told to think about their racial identity. Go ahead with week 4.
Week 4 focused on racism. They were told that racism is a system of advantages and disadvantages based on race. And they were told that there is no such thing as white racism. It does not exist. They were told that the challenges of white people are not due to race. Then they were told to remember the dominant culture and think about how they run our institutions that have resulted in housing discrimination and excess deaths for minorities due to a racist healthcare system. They learned that the more characteristics they have that align with the dominant culture, the more oppressive and racist they are.
Those darn racist healthcare systems. How dare they?
If a student believes that propaganda presented in these lessons, there is only one logical conclusion. White, upper middle class, cisgendered, male, Christian, and neurotypical people are responsible for systematic racism in America. The more of these characteristics they have, the worse of a person they are. Therefore, they must become an anti-racist activist because racism is morally wrong.
All right, they got a few. Actually, see, this is what I love about Restore Ottawa. They bring the evidence. They don't just make claims. They bring the evidence. So, there it is. Let's check this out.
Who am I?
All right.
And who are you?
So, yeah, dominant culture, white, middle class, Christian. Oh, exactly what they said in the article. So, shameless plug as well. Follow Restore Ottawa Substack. I mean, if you're in Ottawa County and you're not following them, you're not getting a lot of information that may be very relevant to your culture.
I was just wondering, what does a neurotypical mean?
I think it means not on the autistic spectrum.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong about that. I am.
Yeah,
very
I did
open.
not know what that word meant. I
Yeah.
was like, that's interesting.
It's just another.
And I unfortunately I do know what cisgender means. I wish I didn't, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. Let's check out lesson 4 here real quick. See what they've got. What is racism?
And all these kids raise their hand.
Yep. Racism is both personal prejudice and systemic abuse of power by institutions. So that's where you get your racist healthcare systems. Several institutions uphold racist beliefs that brought horrible consequences to people of color. Let's see what those institutions were. Oh, they don't show the institutions.
But they do say that personal prejudice is racism. Well then, couldn't there be white racism then? If a black person is personally
no.
prejudiced against a white person?
No.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, I must be misreading it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So
only white person's
no,
personal prejudice.
racism is personal prejudice and bias.
Oh,
and
it's got to be
systemic misuse.
all of it.
Yeah, it's got to include all of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not any longer having a prejudice against a particular race or group of people. It's both. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yep. Changing the words.
So I guess if you're a white poor person, you're not really racist
Oh,
because
you would
have
think
no
so.
power. You have no power. You can't abuse anybody.
So
They're just personally racist.
they
They're not-
actually account for that
Oh,
because
so
because
there
the
is.
systems of power are in your favor even if you're white and poor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They account for poor white people, Jim.
So
Don't worry.
They've got it all covered.
They've got it all covered.
Oh,
They've got it all figured out. So, yeah. You can go through, you can look at the
Oh yeah,
slides.
there's healthcare. There's all kinds of
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 4 times black mother mortality rate versus
What
white
do
mothers.
they think that they're killing the black mothers?
I
I mean, how is a black mother who dies more often than a white mother? How is that our fault?
So I think they would say that because healthcare
Oh.
doesn't do enough to
Oh.
keep them healthy.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because health isn't a personal choice anymore.
Yeah.
Only healthcare providers are responsible for your health, Jim.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. It's just so convoluted.
It is.
And I want to laugh because I just want to scream otherwise.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous. This is just
So-
craziness.
The article just has a couple more sentences here. These are Marxist ideas, and they work to break down society. These ideas turn people against each other based on their characteristics. This is indoctrination. And there's a quote here from John Adams. Children should be educated and instructed in the principles of freedom. So
I love that.
they make an important point here. When you only focus on your differences, and I'm actually I'm going to be playing a couple clips for my class that I had today. Okay, I can't get the clips ready in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I had class from like 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and then I rushed back here, and so those clips will be discussed next week. But some of the same things are discussed. You have to look only at the differences between you and your students. You have to see those things that separate you rather than things that bring you together. So yes, focusing on race is very divisive. I think Democrats know it, and I think that's their purpose, is to divide Americans. And
Well, I think it's how you get your base out.
Yeah.
Anger. I mean, both parties use anger a lot. But,
oh, absolutely.
But but in this case, we're talking about Democrats. Yeah, if you can get the black, I don't know, however to say that without sounding racist, but if you can get black people riled up to come out and vote, then you're more likely to win.
Yeah, and that.
So you need to make sure that they're angry. You need to vote against Republicans because they're continuing this racism. They're continuing this, and
Yep.
So yeah, so you have to divide them, get them angry. You're being persecuted. You're being, whatever the word is, but persecuted is a good one. And the only way you can stop it is to vote Democrats.
Yeah. And that is what they do. They target low education black families, and they say you are being oppressed, and if you say it loud
and
enough
everything
and long
is,
enough,
and nothing's your fault. You
Yeah.
know? So I mean, it's like if you're poor, it's because the white man's holding you down.
Yep.
If you don't like your job, it's because white people won't let you move forward. If you don't, whatever the situation is, if you're uneducated, it's because you have a racist educational system.
That's exactly it.
It's not. It's a hopeless situation, basically, that they're providing. That, and it's something that Republicans, at least typically, I haven't really been keeping up with Republicans lately, but like the Reagan Republican and stuff was always, you can do anything in America. There's nothing holding you back except yourself. And the Democrats are trying to tell them, no, you can't do anything because the white man won't let you.
Yep. And I think the black people that believe the Reagan type ideal, they become president. They become lieutenant governor.
Yeah,
they become business owners.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because they're given hope. They're told there's nothing you can't accomplish in America, and they dream big.
Yeah.
I want to be a CEO. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor. I want to be, But if you're told you can't do anything, well, what's the biggest thing you can do? You can either become a rap star, a basketball dealer, or a basketball player, or a drug dealer.
Basketball dealer.
Yeah. Sneaking basketballs in under their shirt.
Absolutely.
But anyway, go ahead.
So it's interesting though that the people that have become successful, they still teach that there's so much oppression.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so oppressed as a TV star with billions of dollars. We could talk about
I don't
this.
know if their argument is these people just luckily slipped through, in spite of everything. I mean, I'm not sure how they make the argument about Barack Obama being elected twice.
Well,
we're a very racist country. We don't want to give black people a chance, but America elected Barack Obama twice. I don't know if their argument is just, well, he snuck through, like, people didn't realize. I don't know.
Jim, if he had not been oppressed by institutions of power, he'd have been king of the world.
There you go.
He would have ruled the entire world.
That's true.
Yeah. He was just so phenomenal that the white man couldn't keep him down, and he went all the way to president.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, this is interesting.
Okay.
This is not an informative thing so much, but an inquisitive thing. So, you may not know Brian Wheeler.
I don't, or at least
His name may sound familiar, and his story will sound really familiar.
His name does sound a little familiar, but I don't know who he is.
He embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars from Grand Haven High School.
I know Brian Wheeler.
Yeah.
Well, I know
He was
of him.
found,
I don't know him.
I think, arrested in Muskegon as he was trying to flee the state. He was also he died in his jail cell.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Restoring Ottawa is uncovering all these emails between Grand Haven Public School officials and a place called Momentum Center of Grand Haven. Now they're a nonprofit, and they promote a lot of leftist ideals. And so what Restore Ottawa has uncovered is that in May of 2021, when Grand Haven High School prom was canceled, the Anti-Racism Task Force held a prom event at Trillium in Spring Lake. Their first choice was to hold it at Central High School in Grand Haven. After all, the students weren't using it. So,
Oh yes.
there's an email here. Brian Wheeler was involved in. Let's see. I just want to follow up on a few things. Oh yeah. So they were trying to talk to Brian about having prom at Central Central High School. Yep. So tickets for the prom event were $25. Both teens and adults were welcome for the celebration fundraising event. So it's interesting. It's interesting that kids couldn't go to school in 2021, May of 2021, but they could go to this fundraiser.
Dinner and dancing in person. Yeah. When we're supposed to be social
auction.
distancing.
Yeah.
Prom with a purpose. They always come up with these catchy names.
Yeah, they do. They're good at it. So this prom featured a silent auction in which proceeds went to benefit the Anti-Racism Task Force.
What, a silent auction? Is that where they auction off items?
Yes.
And you just
They
don't
auction
say
off
anything?
items and community events and things like that.
Okay.
You're going to find out one of the things that were auctioned off. So,
Okay.
so yeah, these were some of the things. Chinese
A tea ceremony
for four.
That sounded racist.
I was just about to say that. You
Oh.
stole the words right out of my
yeah.
mouth. A Sprout watch. I don't know what that is. 1 hour photo shoot. Half-hour massage. So they were auctioning off all these things. One item up for bid was a dinner for 8, prepared by a local private chef. Brian Wheeler, the embezzler, made the winning bid for the dinner. This was at least Brian's second donation to the Anti-Racism Task Force. Now, the Anti-Racism Task Force is a part of the Momentum Center. They raised $40,000 that night.
$40,000. That prom with a purpose?
Yeah.
$40,000
For a nonprofit organization that pushes leftist ideals. So the question is,
Yeah.
the question is, how much of our tax money was funneled to the Momentum Center in the name of prom donations? Brian Wheeler was embezzling. This Anti-Racism Task Force is the connection between the Momentum Center and the high school, and man, they raised a lot of money. So they displayed it. They're very proud of it. And so I'm wondering, well, you know, there's not really a ton to be done about it right now. But what I will say is the Momentum Center of Grand Haven does not belong in Grand Haven. They are doing some bad work.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the Momentum Center in Grand Haven.
They are.
I hadn't really heard of them.
They are left-wing indoctrinists extraordinaire. They work with students at Grand Haven High School. I mean, if you go on Restore Ottawa Substack, you can find Miss Mary Jane Van Enck communicating with Barbara Van Huysen. Let me see if I got that right.
I see the name Barbara, but I don't see your last name.
Where is Barbara?
Second, Barbara was wondering if you had any
Oh,
suggestions.
yeah. Barbara Van Huysen or Horsen. It might be on here. Barbara Lee Van Horsen. Yes. So Barbara Lee Van Horsen runs the Momentum Center. Mary Jane Van Enck was a public school employee.
Okay.
Brian Wheeler was a public school employee. Caleb Zoki, I think, is a public school employee. So all these public school employees are and then you can see a few of their other articles down here. One of the Grand Haven teachers resigned because they were forcing him to teach CRT. Another one pledges to teach CRT. So they've got a lot.
I'm gonna have to get to this
They're-
website. This is a good website.
They're covering
Mhm.
Grand Haven Public Schools and Ottawa
Mhm.
County like crazy.
Mm.
They've got so much stuff out. I can't even keep up
Yeah.
with everything that they're coming out with.
Hmm.
So, yeah, definitely worth a read. Follow, Restore Ottawa. Go to the Substack. You can put your email in there, and
Hmm.
they'll send you updates.
Okay.
They'll send you the articles that they come out with. So, and I correspond with them
Mhm.
a little bit. I text they have one of their writers that I text, and she's actually the one that told me about what's her face's business meeting.
Hillary.
Hillary Scholten.
Mhm.
So, great. I plug them like every show because I love their articles so much,
Mhm.
and I wish I could have more of them. So, again, great work from Restoring Ottawa. Remember, if you want to, we're out of time. So,
Okay.
we're going to wrap it up here. If you want to get involved, if you want to make a difference in Ottawa County, in Michigan, then you need to text Caroline at protectlifemichigan.org. Again, that will be in the comments. They're doing a lot of door-to-door knocking. They're going to be doing it on multiple days. They're doing it throughout the week. They're doing it on Saturdays. They're doing it all over. So get a hold of her if you want to volunteer and go door knock, talking to people with which you can make a difference. And with that, thank you so much for joining us for the show this week. We're really glad to have Jim back and be able to talk with him, get some of his knowledge and insight. I'm Anon Don.
And I'm Jim.
And this is the Holmes Politicast.